Have you ever wondered why something as ordinary as what you eat could change how your body responds in the most intimate moments? I'm Dr. Naira, a urologist who spent years helping men understand the real story behind their sexual health. And if you've ever had questions about your body, about changes you've noticed, or concerns you've kept private, stay with us. We're here to help you understand your health with clarity, compassion, and practical guidance you can actually use. Today, we're talking about something that might surprise you, a simple kitchen ingredient that supports the very foundation of healthy erections. Not through magic, not through hype, but through genuine vascular science that cardiologists rely on every single day. I'm talking about garlic. Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds too basic, maybe even too good to be true. But here's what I want you to understand. The science behind how garlic affects your blood vessels is remarkably well documented. And when it comes to erections, blood vessel health is everything. So let's walk through this together. I'll explain exactly what happens when circulation starts to decline, why erections are often affected first, and how something as accessible as garlic can genuinely support the system your body depends on for firm, reliable function. If this sounds like information you've been looking for, go ahead and subscribe. What we're covering today is grounded in vascular physiology and men's health research, and it might just change how you think about your body. Let me start by clearing up something that causes a lot of unnecessary confusion and worry. Most men assume that when erections start to change, when they become softer, slower to develop, or less predictable, it must be about testosterone, or libido, or even something psychological. But here's the truth. Erections are fundamentally about blood flow, not hormones, not desire. Blood flow. When blood flow to the penis becomes compromised, erections weaken. It's that direct. And what many men don't realize is that this often happens long before they notice any other signs of circulation problems. Let me explain why. Your penis doesn't have the same large arteries that supply your heart or your legs. Instead, it relies on very small, delicate blood vessels. These vessels need to expand rapidly and fill with blood to create the pressure required for a firm erection. Because these vessels are so small and so sensitive, they're often the first place circulation issues show up. That's why changes in erection quality can actually be an early warning sign. Not of something wrong with your sexuality, but of something changing in your vascular health. Now, I want to be very clear about something important. This isn't about aging. It's about what happens to blood vessels over time when certain conditions develop. Blood vessels can become stiff, they can narrow, they can lose their flexibility and their ability to respond quickly when blood flow is needed. And when that happens, erections are one of the first things to be affected. Many men tell me they still feel desire, they still feel attracted to their partner. Mentally, they're completely present, but physically, their body doesn't respond the way it used to. The erection may be softer than before, or it takes longer to develop, or it doesn't last as long as they expect. That disconnect between mental arousal and physical response can be incredibly frustrating. But it's not a personal failure. It's a signal from your vascular system. At the center of all this is something called the endothelium. The endothelium is the thin inner lining of every blood vessel in your body. It might sound technical, but understanding what it does will help everything else make sense. The endothelium's job is to release a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is what tells your blood vessels to relax and open up. When the endothelium is healthy and functioning well, nitric oxide flows freely, blood vessels respond quickly, and erections come easily. But when the endothelium becomes inflamed or damaged, whether from poor diet, chronic stress, high blood sugar, smoking, or just cumulative wear over the years, it can't produce nitric oxide as efficiently. Blood vessels don't relax as easily. Blood flow becomes sluggish, and erections weaken. This is where garlic enters the picture. Garlic contains natural sulfur compounds, particularly one called allicin, that have been shown to support endothelial function. In straightforward terms, garlic helps your blood vessel lining work better. It supports the release of nitric oxide. It reduces inflammation, and it helps blood vessels stay flexible and responsive. Better endothelial function means better nitric oxide signaling. Better signaling means smoother, more reliable blood flow. And better blood flow means healthier, firmer erections. Now, I want to be very honest with you about what garlic is and what it isn't. Garlic is not a stimulant. It doesn't create desire. It doesn't work like a pharmaceutical that forces blood into the penis for a few hours. What garlic does is remove resistance in the system. Think of it this way: libido is the ignition. Blood flow is the fuel line. If the fuel line is clogged or narrowed, it doesn't matter how strong the ignition is, the engine won't run smoothly. Garlic helps clear the fuel line. It supports the infrastructure erections depend on. Now let's go deeper into why circulation weakens in the first place, and why garlic can make such a meaningful difference. One of the biggest hidden factors behind poor circulation is chronic, low-grade inflammation. You might not feel inflamed. You might not have any pain or obvious symptoms, but inflammation can be quietly damaging your blood vessels from the inside. When inflammation persists over time, it stiffens the walls of your arteries. It makes them less elastic, less able to expand and contract with each heartbeat, and it reduces the endothelium's ability to produce nitric oxide. This is where garlic's anti-inflammatory properties become especially valuable. Garlic doesn't just support nitric oxide production, it actively helps reduce the kind of inflammation that damages blood vessels. Studies show that regular garlic consumption can improve arterial elasticity, lower markers of inflammation in the blood, and support overall cardiovascular function. For men experiencing circulation-related erection changes, this is incredibly relevant. Because here's something most men never hear. When you start supporting circulation, erections are often one of the first things to improve, not because the penis is special, but because it's so sensitive to blood flow changes. Let me describe what many men notice when their circulation starts to recover. First, morning erections return, or they become firmer than they've been in a while. Morning erections are actually a very reliable sign of vascular health. When they improve, it tells you that blood flow is responding better overnight. Next, firmness improves during arousal. Erections may not last dramatically longer at first, but they feel stronger, more solid, more like they used to. Then, consistency improves. You start to notice that erections are more predictable. They don't come and go as unpredictably. There's less anxiety around whether your body will cooperate. These are all signs that your vascular system is recovering its responsiveness. Now, let's talk about a very common mistake men make when they're dealing with erection changes. Most men want an immediate solution, a pill, a supplement, something that works right now. And I completely understand that. When something as personal as your sexual function changes, you want it fixed quickly. But here's what you need to know. Medications like Viagra or Cialis only work if your blood vessels can still respond to them. They enhance the nitric oxide pathway. But if that pathway is severely compromised, even medication becomes unreliable or stops working altogether. Garlic works upstream. It repairs and supports the system that medications depend on. That's why garlic is especially effective for men who experience erections that are softer than they used to be, but still present slower development of firmness during arousal, reduced or absent morning erections, inconsistent performance rather than total absence of function. If erections are completely absent due to advanced nerve damage, severe diabetes complications, or significant vascular disease, garlic alone won't reverse that, and I would never suggest it could. But for the majority of men, those whose circulation is declining but not destroyed, garlic can make a genuine, noticeable difference. Here's another piece of the puzzle that's often overlooked. Garlic works best when it's part of a broader circulation supporting approach. Your blood vessels don't exist in isolation. They're affected by what you eat, how you move, how well you sleep, and how much chronic stress you carry. That's why I always encourage men to think about garlic as one powerful piece of a larger strategy. Not a magic bullet, but a foundational support that works even better when combined with other healthy habits. And that brings me to something practical I want to share with you. Most men struggle with this because they don't want to eat raw garlic every day. They don't want their breath to smell. They don't want to plan complicated meals or swallow cloves whole. I get it. That's not realistic for most people. So let me give you the simplest, most effective ways to actually use garlic consistently without it becoming a burden. Here are 3 realistic options. Pick whichever one fits your life. Option 1, aged garlic extract. This is the easiest and most consistent method. Aged garlic extract comes in capsule or tablet form. It's been processed in a way that removes the strong odor, but preserves the beneficial sulfur compounds. The effective dose is typically between 600 and 1,200 milligrams per day, taken with breakfast. It's gentle on the stomach. It doesn't cause garlic breath, and it requires zero preparation. If you want something simple that you can stick to every single day without thinking about it, this is your best option. Option 2, garlic powder. If you prefer to get garlic through food, garlic powder is incredibly easy to use. Just sprinkle 1 to 2 teaspoons daily on the meals you're already eating: eggs, vegetables, chicken, rice, whatever. It blends into food easily, adds flavor, and gives you a consistent dose without any special preparation. The key here is consistency. Use it every day, not just occasionally. Option 3, fresh garlic. If you want the most potent option and you're willing to deal with a little more intensity, here's what works. Take 1 clove of fresh garlic, mince it finely, mix it into a tablespoon of honey or olive oil, and swallow it like a shot. The honey or oil helps protect your stomach and makes it easier to swallow. Follow it immediately with food to prevent any irritation. This takes about 30 seconds. It's strong, but it's effective. All 3 methods work. The best one is whichever you'll actually do consistently. Now here's something else I want you to know. Garlic works best when you combine it with other simple circulation supporting habits. You don't need to do everything perfectly, but small, consistent changes make a real difference. Here's what I recommend. Move your body regularly. Walking, light resistance training, even stretching. Anything that keeps blood flowing. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep disrupts nitric oxide production and raises inflammation. Reduce sugar and limit alcohol. Both contribute to vascular inflammation and endothelial damage. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just remove friction from the system little by little. When you do that, when you support circulation from multiple angles, erections are often the first thing to respond, because they're the most sensitive early indicator of vascular health. Let me leave you with the most important thing I want you to understand. Weaker erections are not a reflection of who you are. They're not a personal failure, and they're not something to be ashamed of. They're a signal, a message from your body that circulation needs support. And the encouraging part? When you give your body what it needs, when you support your blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and remove resistance from the system, erections are often one of the first things to improve. Because your body is resilient. It wants to work. It just needs the right conditions. So here's what I'd suggest you do starting today. Choose one of the 3 garlic options: aged garlic extract, garlic powder, or fresh garlic with honey, and use it daily. Be consistent for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Combine it with regular movement, better sleep, and reduced sugar. And watch for the signs. Morning erections returning first, then overall consistency becoming more reliable. That's how you'll know it's working. If this information gave you clarity, hope, or a new understanding of your own body, I'd be honored if you subscribed. Drop a comment below and let me know. Have you ever tried garlic for circulation? I read every single one. Thank you for trusting me with this conversation. Keep learning, keep caring for yourself. And remember, your body is worth understanding and your health is always worth protecting. Take care.